The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. Now, this was the first time that Zelda came to the portable unit, and this is a sequel to the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past. This is the same Link. In the story we're told he's going out and trying to find some new adventure, and he winds up on this island where he's basically separated. This isn't Hyrule, it's a whole new island of itself. He has to find his sword, and he's given his shield. There is no Zelda. There's a Marin in this game instead, who Link thinks looks like Zelda. The whole thing is pretty much an adventure to figure out where you are and how to get out of there, how to escape the island. For, whatever reason, he doesn't have like a raft or, a boat or something like this. So there's this mountain, and on top of this mountain is a giant egg. It looks kind of like a Yoshi egg. And you find out through the course of the game that this is actually the egg where the wind fish sleeps, and you have to wake him up, and this will get you off the island. In fact, the entire island is the windfish's dream. And here comes the hard part to swallow. This whole game is a dream. Now, I already played a game that was a dream. It was called Super Mario 2, and yes, I know Mario 2 is actually some other game, Doki Doki Panic in disguise, whatever. When I heard about that, I was like, so what? I don't care. Big deal. What upset me about the game was that it was a dream sequence and didn't really have any impact. So, if anything, it's a letdown that the whole thing's a dream. It's not Link's dream, it's the Windfish's dream, so Link actually had to experience all these things. At the end of the game, there is kind of a neat thing that happens with one of the characters, Marin. Marin in the game, and yes, this is going to spoil it, so if you don't want spoilers, stop the video, Okay, Marin in the game wants to be a seagull. Or, well, she doesn't want to be a seagull. She does want to be a seagull, but she loves flying. The idea of flying around as a seagull would be really cool to her. So at the end of the game, you get to see a seagull. But if you win the game without dying, with 0 deaths, you see Marin with wings flying. So I thought that was really neat, and this game actually inspired me to make up my own versions of what I would want to see as the next Zelda game, and it involved Marin coming back as a seagull but being renamed Martin. Just put a T in her name, and instead of Marin it's Martin, okay? And that she would be doing cool stuff, and that she and Zelda may or may not get along, and there would be this whole new adventure with that. So it would tie back in this game that otherwise had no real purpose back into the real storyline of Zelda. By itself, this game is fun. There's a lot of puzzles. It is linear. You're not allowed to skip around. You pretty much need every object. There are a lot of mini games in this one, which is good. There's a treasure hunt that you can go on that leads to an item that you don't need to have, but is fun to have. There are alternative ways to kill the last boss as far as what your weapon selection is. So there's flexibility there, but not a lot of it. Now, unlike my other reviews that I plan to do chronologically, I need to talk about Link's Awakening DX. Link's Awakening DX was for the Game Boy Advance. It was for the Game Boy Color. And what does this game have that the other one didn't? It has color. Yay! Well, okay, it has one extra dungeon that, annoyingly, even though this game worked on the other Game Boy, you had to have the Game Boy Advance to get to this new dungeon. This new dungeon gives you a tunic. It gives you a blue tunic that lowers your damage, or a red tunic that increases your damage. Well, you take the red tunic, and this game goes from, if you know how to beat the original Zelda Link's Awakening game, it takes about maybe an hour, but with the red tunic, it takes like, I don't know, 80 minutes, maybe less, because it just shaves off so much time that you have to play. So if anything, it kind of sped up the game, and it was really kind of just to promote the new Game Boy, and it worked, because I bought into it, and I bought the dang new Game Boy just so I could get to that new dungeon. Other than that, it's pretty much the same exact game, except you have an extra dungeon that, if you can access, makes the game a lot faster to play through. And that dungeon is pretty simple to get through. So, overall, good game. Oh, one more thing about the Zelda's Link Awakening was that there were some zones that were side-scrolling type zones. But so it was kind of nice to have that, hey, remember Link's 2? But yet none of the problems with Link's 2 are in those side-scrolling zones. And there were some funny references, like there's a Kirby and there's a Goombas to step on. So, and they leave hearts behind. So, I mean, there's kind of silly references there, and again, that's probably why they said this was a dream sequence at the end. But, you know, I don't really have a problem with this game on its own merits. It's a Zelda type game. Zelda's not in it. Triforce isn't in it. Link's in it, and it's referencing Zelda briefly. At worst, you could say, well, it's a waste of time because it's a dream sequence. At best, you could say, well, it's a fun fantasy game to just enjoy. And like I said, the play time is about an hour if you know what you're doing, maybe a little bit more if you don't know what you're doing. So it's something that you can play on a trip somewhere. Next review will be on the Zelda game that changed Zelda once again, the Ocarina of Time. Oh yeah, Ocarina of Time. That's next time. Until then, peace out.